Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we are taking a fascinating plunge into the unpredictable, high-stakes world of fantasy football.
Always a fun topic.
Absolutely. Our mission for this deep dive is to explore why one particular player, Trevor Lawrence of the Jacksonville Jaguars, is being singled out as, well, a prime boomer-bust target for the upcoming fantasy season.
Right. That label gets thrown around, but here it seems particularly apt.
Yeah, we're going to unpack the factors that make him such an intriguing, maybe even tempting, but undeniably risky pick. And we're drawing our insights directly from a recent, pretty analytical article that really digs into his prospect.
That's right. And the goal here isn't just to, parrot what the article says. It's about giving you all the critical nuggets of knowledge.
A context.
Exactly. So you can understand the full spectrum of his potential, both the, let's say, exhilarating upside and the concerning downside.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be looking at the broader context of the Jaguars' 2025 season outlook, diving deep into the significant role of their new coaching staff, which feels crucial.
Very crucial. Yeah.
And meticulously examining Lawrence's specific attributes and his historical performance. Ultimately, we want to equip you with the insights to weigh this significant gamble yourself.
Okay, let's unpack this high-stakes scenario then. Our source immediately sets a really compelling scene. The Jacksonville Jaguars are heading into the 2025 NFL season not with, fear, but with high potential and even higher hopes.
Which is
Yeah.
interesting, right, given where they were.
Exactly. It's quite a bold declaration, especially considering they finished last year with a challenging 4-13 record. It's almost a phoenix from the ashes narrative the article paints, suggesting a strong belief that they can turn things around significantly.
What's truly fascinating here is that stark contrast you just mentioned last year's, let's be honest, dismal 4-13 showing versus this surprising surge of optimism.
Where does it come from?
Well, the article highlights that the talent is certainly already on the roster.
Yeah.
It mentions intriguing prospects who have flash potential, like Trevor Lawrence himself, of course.
Yep.
The exciting young receiver, Brian Thomas Jr., the versatile Travis Hunter Jr., and the dynamic running back duo of Travis Etienne Jr. and Tank Bigsby.
So pieces are there.
Pieces are potentially there. But it also offers a sobering caution. If this offense performs anything like it did last season, the Jaguars would be lucky to have even one decent fantasy score.
Oof. That's a harsh reality check.
It is. And this immediately raises an important question. What exactly is driving this sudden fervent hope for a team that struggled so profoundly just a season ago? Where's all this optimism coming from?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And here's where it truly gets compelling, I think. Much of this renewed optimism for the Jaguars' offensive turnaround stems directly from a single pivotal decision, the hiring of new head coach Liam Cohen.
Oh, okay. The Cohen factor.
Exactly. Our source points to his undeniably impressive track record, painting him as the architect capable of turning this ship around.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, Cohen's hiring isn't just a coaching change. It's presented as a potential game changer, of immense proportions.
Right. The article goes into detail about his tenure as the offensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2024. Remember that. He was described as the architect of a unit that finished third in the NFL in yards and fourth in total points.
Those are big numbers.
Top 5. Big numbers. Now, those are impressive raw stats, but the true insight lies in the transformation. This same Buccaneers offense was a mere 23rd in total yards and 20th in scoring the year before Cohen took the reins.
Wow. Okay. That puts it in perspective.
Doesn't it? Under his guidance, Baker Mayfield, a quarterback many had, frankly, written off,
Yeah, definitely.
enjoyed a career year. His air attack ranked third in yards and second in touchdowns.
So Cohen fixed Baker, or helped him significantly.
It seems that way. What's truly remarkable about Cohen's approach, as gleaned from the source, isn't just his play calling, but his knack for tailoring the offense to his quarterback's strengths, maximizing efficiency.
Makes sense. Play to your strengths. For Mayfield, that meant capitalizing on quick reads, effective play action, and, opportunistic deep shots. Jacksonville is clearly hoping for a similar, perhaps even more dramatic revitalization down in Duval. They believe Cohen can bring that same strategic alchemy to their roster.
So if Liam Cohen is indeed this new offensive architect, this potential savior, how does his arrival specifically influence the player who's arguably the biggest swing for fantasy managers, Trevor Lawrence?
Yeah, it all comes back to him, doesn't it?
Because ultimately it all starts with the QB. If Lawrence can have a truly big year, then the ripple effect would be massive, lifting the fantasy value of other key guys like Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter Jr., and the running backs too.
This brings us to a crucial question for any fantasy drafter, especially if you're waiting on a quarterback.
Yeah.
Why is Lawrence considered such a good gamble in those later rounds?
Right. Why take the risk?
The article quotes Yahoo Sports' Fred Zinke, who provides a really insightful perspective here. Zinke immediately reminds us of Lawrence's pedigree. He was the #1 overall pick of the 2021 NFL Draft.
Can't forget that.
Widely viewed as a generational prospect as early as his freshman year at Clemson. Now, for those maybe less familiar with that term,
It means like best QB prospect in years, right?
exactly. A generational prospect is a player so uniquely talented, so undeniably special, that they're expected to be a franchise cornerstone, a face of the league for, a decade or more. Think Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, maybe Patrick Mahomes in their draft years.
Okay, so huge expectations.
Massive expectations. That's the level Lawrence carried. However, Zinke doesn't shy away from the harsh reality, acknowledging that Lawrence, quote, has yet to meet expectations.
Understatement, maybe.
Possibly. He's battled multiple coaching changes and systematic failures around him, and this context is absolutely crucial for understanding his fantasy potential now.
So it hasn't all been his fault.
That's the argument, yeah. We're talking about a highly touted player who, maybe through no fault of his own, has endured inconsistent offensive line play, a revolving door of play callers.
Urban Meyer.
Let's not even go there. And just a lack of consistently elite surrounding talent. These systematic failures, as the source calls them, have often stifled his ability to truly shine. For example, he's shown flashes of brilliance, sure, but also periods of inconsistency, leading to questions about his decision-making under pressure or his ability to elevate struggling units. And think about it, he's had to learn new offenses almost annually. That's incredibly disruptive for your young QB trying to find a rhythm.
Totally. Stability matters so much to that position.
It really does. Establishing trust with teammates, understanding the nuances of a system, it takes time.
And this is precisely where Cohen comes in, isn't it? This is the hope.
Exactly. The source suggests that Cohen, that offensive guru, could be the absolute key to finally unlocking Lawrence's vast potential. It's about providing that stable, innovative system he's arguably been missing his entire pro career.
Okay. And it's not just Cohen, right? They added weapons.
Good point. Adding to this, the arrival of Travis Hunter joining Brian Thomas Jr. is projected to give the Jaguars one of the NFL's best WR duos. Now, that might be a bit optimistic.
Yeah, best is strong for two young guys.
Very strong. But the potential is clearly there. This is significant because it provides Lawrence with the kind of high-level, reliable targets that can truly make a difference. Zinke specifically projects that under Cohen's guidance, Lawrence could reach 4,300 passing yards while also topping 300 yards on the ground.
Okay, now those are fantasy-relevant numbers. 4,300 passing, 300 rushing. That's starter territory.
Definitely. That's not just a marginal improvement. That's a significant leap for fantasy purposes, suggesting a strong dual-threat capability that's incredibly valuable in today's game.
So the potential is huge, but what about the cost? What's his fantasy value right now?
Right, this is where it gets fascinating. Zinke positions Lawrence's current fantasy value against this immense potential. Lawrence currently has an average draft position, or ADP, of just 144.
124, it's pretty late.
It is. For those maybe newer to fantasy or needing a refresher, ADP is basically the average spot where a player is being drafted across various leagues. At 144, that puts him at 20th among quarterbacks. QB 20.
QB 20. For a former #1 pick with this new setup.
Exactly. This data is based on Fantasy Pros for a 17-game full PPR basis. And full PPR, meaning full points per reception. Well, as seasoned fantasy managers know, that boosts the value of pass catchers and, by extension, the QBs throwing to them. Every catch matters.
Okay, so QB 20 ADP. What does Zinke make of that?
He emphasizes that once you get past the top, let's call it the 5-man tier, atop most QB rankings, the elite group, Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, Lamar, Burrow.
Like the set and forget guys.
Right. Once you get past them, there's a deep group of quarterbacks that is, quote, separated by very little. Lawrence, despite his pedigree and upside, sits near the bottom of that group by his current ADP. But here's the crucial nugget. Zinke argues he could easily be at the top of that group by season's end. He's boldly called a downright steal at his current ADP.
A steal, wow.
Yeah. He's falling behind players like Justin Herbert, who's going around pick 111, Drake May, the rookie, at 123, and J.J. McCarthy, another rookie, at 132.
So behind Herbert and two rookies who haven't played an NFL snap yet.
Correct.
Okay, so let me just reiterate. You're looking at a former generational talent, the #1 pick.
Yep.
Now with a new coach hailed as an offensive guru in Liam Cohen
Mm-hmm.
and potentially strong, dynamic receiving weapons, all at a relatively low cost, ADB 144, QB 20, compared to his perceived ceiling, that is a compelling proposition.
Absolutely. This really highlights the boom potential. Think about it.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert is a proven vet, sure, but May and McCarthy are complete unknowns at the NFL level.
Total projection cases.
Right. Lawrence has already shown flashes, he has NFL experience, and is now being put into what the article strongly suggests is an ideal system for him. The upside case, the boom, involves Cohen's offense clicking immediately, Lawrence staying healthy, which is key,
Always key.
and the young receivers, Thomas and Hunter, taking that step forward. If all that happens, he could easily outperform his ADP by a massive margin, potentially delivering, solid QB1 numbers, weak winning numbers sometimes. That's the boom.
Makes sense. Okay, paint the other side, the bust scenario, because that's equally important to consider when we talk about a boom or bust candidate, right? We can't ignore the risk.
Right. Can't just focus on the sunshine. The bust would involve some of those persistent, systematic failures popping up again.
Like what?
Maybe the offensive line doesn't improve enough, leaving Lawrence under constant pressure again. We've seen that hinder him. Perhaps Cohen's system, while successful elsewhere, takes time to implement with a new team, leading to growing pains and a slow start offensively.
Which happens all the time with new coaches.
Absolutely. Or, as we've seen in the past, maybe Lawrence's own consistency could falter. Maybe the decision-making doesn't take that leap, leading to turnovers or just inefficient performances that kill fantasy value.
In injuries, you mentioned health.
Yeah, there's also the inherent risk of injuries, which have affected him in previous seasons, even if you played through them sometimes. So while the hope is high, the bust scenario isn't out of the realm of possibility if things don't coalesce as smoothly as maybe this article projects. It's truly a high-reward, high-risk proposition for fantasy managers. You got to weigh both sides.
So you can clearly see why Trevor Lawrence is being pegged as a quintessential boom or bust fantasy target this year. It's a truly compelling narrative, isn't it? Immense potential, meeting past challenges, all under the hopeful influence of a new, highly regarded coaching staff that promises to finally unlock that potential. It's exactly the kind of high ceiling, low floor, or maybe low cost gamble that can define a fantasy season, for better or worse.
Indeed. And this deep dive into the Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence raises, I think, an important question for you, our listener, to consider as you prepare for your own fantasy drafts. How much value do you truly place on a new coach's ability to revitalize a struggling talent, especially one with that coveted generational prospect label still kind of hanging around them?
Yeah, how much weight do you give the coaching change versus the player's history?
Exactly. Is a past #1 pick, even one with a bumpy road filled with those systematic failures and coaching changes we talked about, always worth a gamble when a new system promises to unlock their potential? Or do you play it safer? It's a strategic decision that could make or break your season. Definitely something profound to mull over as you navigate those crucial draft rounds.